our city and our county has a huge debt looming, and our interest rates are going to be involved in that. I understand everyone is against a tax increase. Get it, don't want it either. But what do you bring to the table as a suggestion or a plan to meet that debt service before we go bankrupt?
Yeah, I would, go ahead.
So I kind of want to answer that question, but I also want to actually answer this gentleman in the right's question. I mean, he had a question of what's the fine line. I think for me, for Knoxville, actually, it's conversation, right? And so if you look up here, you have 5 different districts, right? Every district representative, every individual running for the district has their separate issues. And I think what you see, what happens often is we're having different conversations. There's not enough unified conversations. And so while I'm making a decision and I'm arguing for something in my district that may impact another district, and so you have all this confusion between your different district representatives. What needs to happen, it needs to be more conversation. I know you have sunshine laws, I know you have all these things in place that keep us from having conversations, but I think it's gonna be us, no matter who wins, it's gonna be our job to make sure we take the initiative to make this a job. I know a lot of us have our own personal jobs, but this is also a job. And for me, it's not just a part-time job when you're making vast decisions that can affect the entire community. And so to answer your question and to answer this gentleman's question, we need to have more conversations. There needs to be more opportunities where you have all district representatives at the table so we can then give our mayor and give the people of city government true answers and true definitions of what we need.
Yeah, and that was a great question, and we need to build, our small businesses need to be built, that's our city. It's not the big corporations. When COVID was here, Walmart was open, Target was open, all our small businesses were shut down by our city. That's where you have to build our small business, but we also need to bring in new business for tourism. And that tourism, I have a plan for that, and that's to make Knoxville, we've already started, the cat capital of the United States, and in addition to that, the city of tiny homes. We have already planned 700 tiny homes that are affordable with no banks involved and no financing other than private financing with no interest. That's how we're going to do it. Community working together, solving these problems together. We don't need the leadership that we have now. We don't need the big corporations. We can do it ourselves.
Does anybody ever live in a tiny home? Anybody on any of the candidates?
Thank you for the question. Numbers are cruel. And the reality is we have to have a keener sense of the difference between the gotta do's and the wanna do's in Knoxville. And I don't think we're doing a very good job distinguishing that right now. We have to work collaboratively, city, county. We've got big footprint development opportunities that are possible. The former safety building site in East Knoxville, Standard Knitting Mill is looming like Dracula's castle over Center City right now. It's disgraceful. We have the Sears building, which is going to come online in a very few years, and the McClung warehouse. The city's owned that and paid millions for it, and I don't know what's happening in terms of the wheels turning on that. And as I mentioned a moment ago, the granddaddy of them all, and that's the 50 acres of Knoxville College. And with all due respect to my good friend Charles, there's no support from the United Negro College Fund on Knoxville College. There's no money. Higher ed is in collapse across the board. There's no federal money. There's no state money. I know for a fact in terms of the people that the city's talking to at the state level, it's a new day. So it's a great question, and we have to get really urgent and serious about it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I heard a lot of conversations about the community, and I want to focus on the 6th district. What are we going to say, or what is your guys' stance on preparing the workforce for jobs? I'm not people talking about affordable housing, but if they don't have a job, they're not qualified to do today's job. Who's going to talk about what tomorrow's job will look like so they can afford them? You know, if you know real estate is going up, which is, you know, always went up, I'm in the real estate business, who's gonna prepare the people for tomorrow's jobs? Nobody's talking about that, so I like to know what the 6th district candidates are doing for that community to prepare them for a job, instead of just focusing on, I understand the safety net things, I understand being poor, you know, I live in a big community, but nobody in this room grew up poorer than I did. So we can get that clear. But who's talking about getting people from zero to heroes when it comes to getting qualified for a job? So guess what? They don't need their leaders. They don't need a city councilman. They don't need a county commissioner. They can create opportunities for themselves. I like to hear this, because I know the 6th district, and I like to hear who's helping them with that, instead of giving them so much sleep or keeping them from getting shot. Who's getting them ready? So,
You want some districts though?
Yeah, it's a district.
Yeah.
So, Ron,
Oh, you sure?
Yeah. We have a program, and that was also a good question. We have a program called FPRIZE, Feral Cat Rescue and Youth Sanctuary. And that, we have a launch program where when the youth come into our program, we prime them for 60 days to go. They get to pick any department in the U.S. Department of Defense that they want to go into. Now, the nice thing about that is they've got transportation, they've got housing, they get a paycheck, they have everything that they need. After 4 years, if they decide, after they're trained through one of the departments, and you can go into anything, veterinary medicine, medical, you don't have to be into a combat position. They'll train you out of the 7 departments, even Space Force, you can go into that as well. After 4 years, when they get out, they don't need a safety net, because now they have a lifetime of veterans benefits, educational benefits. So we're encouraging a lot of our youth to go that way, but we're also working with small business. Our big challenge right now in the 6th district are people that don't want to work, they don't have incentive to work. We have to help them get there where they need to have that incentive. And that's part of what we need to do, because that's community.
I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna say that the people in the 6th district don't wanna work. I'm from the 6th district. The people in the 6th district, and I'm born and raised in the 6th district. The people in the 6th district that came up with a lot of pressure and things like that. You know, like, he asked the question, what are we gonna do? And let's be real about, about finding, helping folks get jobs and stuff like that. Because, a lot of business is leaving the 6th district over there. So therefore, we have to, one thing about it is that, they was talking about KC. And I remember when I was growing up, we had jobs, NYC jobs, for the youth and things like that. We gotta be able to create stuff, policies for people to be able to have jobs and stuff like that, because when you is on council, you have a lot of authority. And you can make a lot of decisions. So therefore, people, and the only thing that people need, George, in the 6th district is a little motivation. People need to be inspired, and uplifted, because the thing is that, so to answer Pete's question is that if I'm if I'm council, I'm gonna fight, that people will be able to get jobs and stuff like that. Bring back the youth programs where they will hire young men and women like that, so that, and then also what we have to do is get them prepared for the job force, because if you're dealing with a young man, if you're dealing with a young man that just came off the streets and things like that, he gotta learn accountability and stuff like that. So therefore, we can,
in our community, what's been going on is, yes, Mr. Whiteside, there are people that are coming out of our public school systems that are prepared and they're working. But what's happened is that the mindset has been changed. And I've helped several people get jobs here in the city of Knoxville. The mindset has to be changed from government also. it seems like, okay, give them the basketball, build them a skating arena, which we had right next to my church, and I said, that's not gonna work. We just had about $1 million that was allocated for violence prevention. I would have rather sent that money, I definitely would like to see that money be distributed to someone doing business, or trained to do business, or trained to be successful, rather than taking $1 million and going around the community. Yes, are you participating in violence? Well, what can we do to stop that? You know, so to take that $1 million and try to use that to train people to do specific things, we need a lot of help in a lot of ways. And yes, Mr. Grant, I agree with you 100%. Communications brings about understanding. You're always gonna have gaps in your family, you're gonna have gaps in the community, and we're gonna have gaps if we can't work things out and communicate. So there we were, and we spent almost $1 million on crime prevention. Was the city county building filled with people saying, no, don't allocate that? No, they didn't. Was the city county building filled with people saying, no, we don't want a tax increase? So the citizens, we have to participate, and we have to give directions to make this a better city for all of us.
Can I say something about the tax increase? I'm for the tax increase, get your attention, but,
This is District 6.
well, let me finish my statement. They asked me a question, they're wrong in the conversation. I'm for the tax increase when they lower the property tax first. So that will have outsiders be able to, people that enjoy Knoxville, be able to subsidize Knoxville with their enjoyment of our great university in this area. And then, if they will lower the property tax first, then increase the sales tax that everybody would pay, would offset that. So I'm for the sales tax. And these ladies, this lady here has a chance.
Come on, moderator, keep it going.
That's right. There's a lot of.
I like the
A lot of
issue.
men in here, but the women don't. It's only fair.
Well, I would like to answer Mr.
So I'm not real afraid.
I would like to answer Mr. Whiteside's question, just about workforce in District 6. I think it all coincides. Mr. Frazier here talks about violence. Violence is important. The reason why violence is important is because when you have high crime, businesses don't want to come to areas with high crime. So it all coincides with each other. I think you need more business in District 6 to be able to provide jobs with livable wages, not just minimum wage. You need livable wages so people in District 6 can thrive, and I think that's how we do it, by welcoming more small businesses and helping those small businesses thrive.